Like, how did you come up with the name?
So it was actually through watches, because watches and cars I find are very, very correlated. For those watch enthusiasts that are out there, they know, because it's just very like, man was made to tinker.
I see.
Right. And we as like, you know, men and women, but just, you know, growing up.
Let's not step on any toes.
No, but growing up with, you know, a male dominant house.
For sure.
Right. It's just like, we're always doing something. We're always, you know, breaking, fixing, Legos, whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And same thing with the watch. So when I first opened up the back case of a watch, you see how everything works. You're seeing how everything moves.
A mechanical watch, I'm assuming.
Yes. So I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, wow, like that's pretty cool. Right. And then it's just that combined with cars. And I'm looking at like, these are the things that get us excited. These are the things that move us in some shape or form. So I'm like, things that move us. It could be about cars. It could be literally about anything.
It's literally hobbies, right? Like if you think about it, like things that you enjoy doing that
expensive hobbies
keep you going. Yeah, well, typically.
What's your project on? Are you working on anything now?
Hard to say a project that I'm currently working on. My car is always a project in a sense.
Just trying to keep it alive.
Right. Yeah. I've actually, this car, I've had for probably it is the longest car I've ever owned.
And what is that?
Does that make sense? Yeah. The longest car that I've owned time-wise. The M3. Yeah.
What year? Model?
So it's a 2001 M3. E46 for the...
Of course.
For the enthusiasts.
Color?
It's a black one, 6-speed coupe. So not convertible.
Is it the black sapphire or like a...
It's called Schwarzback. Black. Schwarz, which is black in German.
Right.
But I think it's Schwarz 2, if I'm not mistaken.
So what are you doing to it now? How many kilometers on it, first of all? Not miles.
Not miles, yeah.
Because kilometers, the proper way.
I bought it with 145,000 kilometers. It currently has 234,000, 233, something like that.
Is it stored?
Yeah.
Stored away?
I drove it, in my garage, but
not
stored away from the winter, yeah. So when I bought it the first year, it was the only car we had, believe it or not. So we were married. We had only one car, and that was the only car. Most people would be like, why would you... Why?
Because it's the perfect car.
In my opinion, it was, right?
It still is,
nothing better than a family car, 2-door sports car.
You still hahaven't gotten rid of it, so it's clearly doing something right.
So the thing is, like the story with the M3, before I could even drive, the M3 was my
poster car,
achievable dream. I should say, right?
Just like the S2000 is for me.
Correct, right? Sure. Some like maybe a Porsche is achievable at some time, but like realistically, most people won't achieve such a dream to like own a Porsche or a Lamborghini or whatever it is, right? So an achievable dream was the M3 for me, and it was always kind of like, I don't know, it was the perfect car for a reasonable price, in my opinion. And I mean, anyone can say whatever they think. Like some people are Audi enthusiasts or BMW or
to
Mercedes.
Each their own, right?
To each their own, yeah. But I think that to me, and you know, like I wanted to mention this because I'm not a BMW like, and
I've noticed that a fanboy. You're
not a fanboy, right? Like I like the M3 by all means. I love it,
but not much more than that. From what they make.
Yeah, like I don't like every BMW made. I don't know every piece of information that BMW has out there. To me, the M3 was just the car that like fit my, I don't know, like
it checked off all your boxes.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Budget, performance, handling.
Well, budget is relative, right? Because like,
well, I mean, you bought it with 140 whatever thousand.
Yeah. I actually got it for a really good deal because, you know how the M3 went down in price for a while?
Yeah.
And then it like kind of like plateaued.
In like
and
the
then
teens, right?
Right. And then it was like low teens to mid teens. Barely low teens if you were lucky. And then it started climbing again. So I hit that like right on the nail. Like I bought it at the low point. And I feel like I've put 90,000 kilometers on it almost.
Wow.
And it hasn't gone down in price, you know? And that was 7 years ago or 8 years ago.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? Like what kind of car do you buy unless it's like a super specific like Ferrari or Porsche that like keeps their value, right?
It's hard to nail down a car that actually retains its value. Like after driving it for especially 8 years?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. There's only a handful of cars that'll ever do that. Only a handful. Mostly, surprisingly, I mean, depends on how high in price you go.
Well, yeah.
But
some cars are like known to be bought for investments. For example, the M4 CSL that was like recently came out a few years back. The CSL or
GTS, you mean? The one that ran on that was hydrogen injection?
No, there's the
CS.
CS?
Yeah, maybe CS. Yeah. The one with the crazy carbon fiber hood.
Yes, that's the one.
The lines and
like there was only so many made, and like they went off the mark. Like, is that the one we're talking about? We should pull it. I'll pull it up at one point. It's the
because I think you might be thinking the GTS, which in my opinion failed miserably.
Well, okay, just do M4 GTS. I'm curious
because they revealed it as like
that's the one I'm talking about. So I don't care how it did
with the orange wheels, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's the one. But what I'm trying to say is that when they were purchased, they sold immediately, and then they were
way
like
over list.
Yeah, and then they were like people were posting them for like a crap ton of money over the asking, like what was the regular price, right? I don't know now what it's like, but I know people just bought them and like they were reselling them, even though BMW, they're like, no company likes that. They're like,
no company because they want to capitalize on the yeah. But even like when the i8 came out, when that car first came out, there were people that were trying to buy them for overlist. I know a guy that tried to buy a spot in line to say like, hey, I'll give you, I think the deposit was like something insane, like 25 to 50K. Don't quote me on it. This was like a very long time ago. And the guy's like, I'll give you your deposit back plus another deposit to let me take your place in line. Wow. And the guy said no. Then I'm like, ooh.
See, I've never been that obsessed with anything to like to not take such a good offer. I'd be like, nah, screw it, I'm good.
2016 M4 GTS, exactly. 150, 140, how much did 120, but these things might have been online for like God knows how long.
Right, but how much were they initially? How much did they cost?
More.
They cost more brand new?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like 150-ish.
I remember when they came out, I used to see them on eBay for like 250.
Yeah. And they sold. They sold for like 200 and whatnot, but
so it was like an immediate like 50 grand, you know, like or more profit. I'm a businessman in no way. I would want to buy that and just like sell it and make profit.
But there's a lot of guys that there's guys that did with the Supra that just came out.
I heard that.
Yeah, they like the Supra launch, they bought it and then they flipped it immediately because they knew if they sat on it a little too long, gone. It'll just go.
Yeah, it's a tricky time frame when you to know when to buy and to sell, right? Like, actually, to sell, that comes with everything. If you do stocks or whatever, you need to know when to sell to like make the best profit. But the same thing with the Ford GT, the new one,
the 500. GT 500. Yeah.
So that one, Ford actually like sued. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you could get in trouble if you were to sell their car.
I think that was the Ford GT. Yeah, not the GT 500.
Not the GT 500.
It was the Ford GT.
Ford GT.
Where John Cena got.
Correct,
yeah.
Because
I think that car got sold like 5 times. It's something stupid.
Jeez.
So, but no, you're right. E46 M3 definitely a safe buy.
Yeah, we went so off track from the M3.
very, very, very quickly. But no, like seriously, like when it comes to cars that are, call it under 50K, I think that the M3 is one of those cars that just will hold its value. As long as you properly maintained it.
Of course. You know how I knew that it was a good car to buy? Because I've had it for, like I said, 8 years now. And I thought
so you bought it in 2012.
Yes.
Right.
I remember maybe like 2 years ago, I was thinking maybe I should sell it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe I should sell it. And I contemplated the idea and like, what am I going to buy? So I took the money that I would get out of it. And I said, what would I buy for this money? Even if I add a few grand on top, you know? Dude, I can't find anything remotely close to like that car that would make me happy.
Like that car has the bulges all in the right spots. That has the
small way of putting it.
Well, it looks wise, I love the way it looks. It's a timeless car. Like it looks timeless. Then you have like, you know, the performance. It handles. It just literally does everything you want it.
Yeah.
Except for, you know, the subframe.
Yeah, I mean it's got some weak points.
Yeah, but every like car everything does. Else, exactly.
That's the thing. Like when I look for a car, if I like it enough, I try to Google the common issues that are
people like have. Everyone should. I'm hoping.
And everything you look like, you search on whatever car you're looking at, you're gonna find common issues, and some of them are major, some of them, and it turns off people very easily. If you say, oh, this car's got like, I don't know, transmission issues, or this one burns through clutches like crazy. I don't know what it is. I'm just giving an example, right? But if you really like that car, you just got to think, am I willing to put up with those issues? And that's what I did for the M3, and
But you're mechanically inclined though, which you can fix a lot of stuff yourself.
Which helps, yeah.
Right? I mean, as where, like, a lot of people will stay away from German just because they're scared of them, but the things that they should be scared of are like 7 Series, where they're just riddled with technology versus analog stuff like the E46.
Correct.
Right?
That car I would never, but I don't think I really want that car that bad to like put up with a quarter of the issues.
That's a different type of like, I don't know, area of driver, right? For sure. But what I'm saying is, you know, something that's relatively fixable. I mean, for example, people think, you know, like I said, German cars stay away from, but Japanese is the most reliable thing. How many Subarus have you had, and how do you like those?
I'm currently working on one. I'm glad you brought this up because you're a bit of a, I don't know if you're a Subaru fan necessarily. No. You own one, so.
No, I'm not a Subaru well, I am a fan. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like them, but it's not something that I'd be like, oh,
but it's not your. Yeah, okay.
No, it's not my poster car.
So, you want to hear my experience with Subarus?
No, I'd love to.
Okay, so the first Subaru that I bought, it was for a winter beater. And it was a Forester.
I think I was there for that. Wait, was that the one where I first showed you my WRX when I first got it? You got the Forester, or was that way before?
I think it was around that time.
It was around that time. I remember.
So anyways, I bought some like junky Subaru just for like winter beater, right?
First problem
for sure. But you figure like, man, it's not an expensive Subaru that should have major issues. It's just a regular car that people bought as a daily driver, right? Just kind of like you buy a Honda Accord, or like in the same category in a sense. And I didn't think it's gonna have, but anyway, so I get it home. First thing happens, head gasket. And that's when I found out that Subarus are prone for head gaskets.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to like doing some research. I didn't do any research for that car at all. But the thing is, I didn't because I wasn't spending much money. I was just like,
and you know, it's a Japanese car.
It's a Subaru. Fine. Like everyone, you see tons of them on the road. I'm like, how bad can it be? You know, freaking head gasket, first thing that goes. So at that point, I was already invested into the car. So I was like, okay, let's do a head gasket. So my dad and I did it. It's not expensive in parts. It's not expensive in, if you take it to a mechanic, it probably gets expensive. But like you said, because I fixed my own cars, it was kind of like a challenge. Okay, let's do it, right? So we figured it out. We did it. I drove that car maybe a year, and then I sold it, and it was okay. Like, I never had issues with it again.
Mm-hmm. Did you do okay on it?
I think I made
I think you buy all your car. Usually you buy all your cars.
Typically,
right?
I when I buy a car, I'm like trying to think that if I sell it, will I
at least get my money back?
Get my money back. That's the goal. Typically, I try to make money, obviously. But
and for those who don't know, Ontario tax is 13%.
Yeah, that's
good luck getting your money back. So that's tough. So
that sucks. Yeah. But anyways, on that car, I might have broken even or just made a few $100. I don't think it was. I didn't buy it to make profit. I bought it to drive it through the winter.
Yeah.
Because at this time I had the M3 that was parked in the garage, and I just needed winter beaters. Like, I used to switch winter beaters every year, man. I went through so many of them. And anyway, so I drove that car. Then I bought WRX from 2003.
Ooh, okay.
Do you know about that one?
No, I don't. I didn't see that one.
I bought that one with rod knock on it. Ooh. On the engine.
Wait, so you knew about it?
I knew. I bought it for dirt cheap, low kilometers.
Again, like 100. Probably for a reason.
Yeah. Well, that one I actually bought to flip. So I knew for sure I'm going to buy this, fix it up, maybe drive it like 6 months and then get rid of it, make profit. And I did make profit on that. But that's the car that I actually pulled the motor out. I took it to my basement. I literally took it in the basement. And over a couple months, I pulled the whole motor apart. I've never done this before.
So it was kind of like a learning experience, but a project.
Right.
But like,
it was a project, and I actually enjoy that project a lot because I've never pulled the motor apart completely ever. Right. I just had gaskets, whatever. But to get to the rings, to the bearings, it was cool and nerve-wracking at the same time. I remember starting the car after I installed everything on the car, and just like so nerve-wracking, like it turned on.
First try? Turned on?
Yeah, it turned on fine.
Really?
No issues.
Wow.
I drove it for, I can't even tell you, maybe 6 months, I think.
Did you have fun with it?
Yeah, but so when my one friend from high school used to have a WRX. And back then, mind you, we were in high school. Anything over 200 horsepower, we're like, whoa, so cool.
Well, those are the greatest times to be an enthusiast.
Even if you had 200 horsepower, you're like, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, I got 200.
On which?
No. That's
yeah. That was
like, yeah, I had 200. Right, yeah. I'm like, oh, I have 150.
Yeah. Like, you do all right.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm in a 120 horsepower Civic, if that. 105, I think.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, 105 for the regular Civics.
That's what I had.
Anyways, and when I was in high school, I thought of that car. It's pretty cool. Like, I'm going to enjoy it. But little did I know that later on, when, I don't know, I've driven like more. Oh, well, I still had the M3 at that time. I'm not saying the M3 is super fast or anything.
It is, though.
But compared to like the typical car on the street, it's pretty fast, right?
Yeah. Like, even if you throw that thing on a track right now, it'll demolish a lot of cars.
So, the WRX, when I started driving it on the road, I was like, man, it's not like I remember it, like I had this like idea of this car that's gonna be fun, like winter's gonna be cool, I'm gonna like mess around with it. It didn't do it for me.
Really?
No, it's just I mean, 227 it's got.
How many what's the engine code of that one? Do you know? Is it the EJ? Is it still classified an EJ?
Yeah, I think it is. It's an EJ.
So you have a little bit of turbo lag, and then
the turbo lag is very noticeable on that thing, actually.
Yeah.
But the transmission is very
wonky.
Weak. It's weak on that. Like, I mean, I didn't mess around with it too much, but everyone says don't launch those because you like a few launches and you just pop the. I don't know. Maybe I don't have enough experience with Subarus to like say that.
You know what? What I was told, all my research when I was buying mine, from what I was told, I was told, buy it, drive it, you'll enjoy it, but if you want it to be reliable, don't modify it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Fair enough.
And I mean, that goes with a lot of cars, though. Don't modify it, you'll be fine, right? And same thing with my 1 Series, right? Didn't modify it. For 2 reasons, though, because if I did modify it, then it's like, okay, I just went from 300 horsepower to now 380. Now I'm going to get used to this. So my next car has to be here or better.
For sure.
And I went from 300 down to 260 and it sucked.
You feel it.
Oh, I feel it.
I want to mention one more thing about Subarus before we move on. The thing with Subarus is like a love-hate relationship for the same reason. Because they're so unreliable with their head gaskets. I started flipping them. So, man, I went on Kijiji. And Kijiji is like
a trading it's like
Craigslist for US. Yeah. And
Canadians will know Kijiji.
So I googled like head gaskets, you know, like head gasket issues or whatever. I forgot what. Man, so many Subarus popped up. Like selling this car has gasket issues, and that's when I knew, like, man, this is a really common issue. You know, dude, I think I fixed. I'm on my 5th one. We're currently we just finished one head gasket last week on my with my dad. I'm doing it with my dad. It's kind of nice to bond with my dad over this. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and so this is the 5th head gasket I've done on a Subaru, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool, but it's like that's the only reason I like Subarus, because I can make some money off of them. I buy them broken and like fix them, and then I just sell them. So it's.
But to going back to your M3, did you? I can't remember because it's been a while. Did you fix that exhaust? Because you were pretty much straight piped for a while.
So the M3, I tried many things on that car.
What's wrong with? First of all, what's wrong with it?
Well, no, I'm talking about exhaust setups. Like I tried many things. So a lot of people. The thing is, when you go to those German cars, when you want to upgrade an exhaust or whatever, it's like just for the muffler, it's like over $1,000, and it's like, come on. You know, like I used to come from JDM cars, which is like, I remember my 240 was like, I bought a differential for $60 full of oil, like fresh oil. I'm like, how do you beat that, you know? And then you go to an M3 and it's like,
add another zero.
Yeah, for anything, you know?
For half the part.
But for the exhaust, so I didn't have that much money to just mess around with exhaust. And if you don't put the proper exhaust from the start and you don't like it, like you spend that much money and end up not liking it, it's like, dang, it sucks, right? So I tried modifying mine so I keep it cheap and like try different things. So initially what I did, I pulled the muffler off. That muffler is like 60 pounds, man. The first time I dropped it, I almost like collapsed with it. It was insanely heavy. You don't expect it, you know, if you don't know.
Well, most people know it. But a lot of people don't actually understand how heavy mufflers are. And I mean, when people do modify it, they do perform. I mean, performance-wise, you save weight, you get better sound, better airflow.
So, but I pulled that muffler out and I opened it up. I cut everything and I just pulled the insulation out of it, and I welded it back. And I took 8 pounds out of it. Of like insulation and like sound deadening and whatever is in there.
Oh, I remember the sound.
And it sounded oddly quieter than before. It was so weird.
Oh, this is before you went pretty much straight pipe.
Before, yeah. And then I was like, screw this. I don't like it.
Just chop it all off.
So then what I did is I did get headers in the meantime. Even those are extremely expensive. So I just went for catless. Biggest mistake for everyone that wants to do it. Don't do it. Stinks. It stinks, man. Like people say, it smells a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's awful. I can't drive with my windows
down. Some people love that smell.
It's
whenever
I'll take it for a spin next time.
And whenever I drive behind you, I love it. I love
it. It's horrible. If you're sitting in traffic with windows down, it's like, ugh, I can't even take my little guy in with it because I'm like, I don't want to intoxicate him. It's terrible.
Yeah, I want him to live a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
No children allowed. But wait, now I remember when you did all this and raced Stefan on the highway in Mexico.
Right. We went straight to Mexico from
exactly. He had an SMG, but did you guys have both the same stuff on your cars or no?
At the time we did. So
but even though he had an SMG, you guys were still neck and neck?
Yeah, man, that was like the closest race I've ever had. To be honest, it was like it didn't even look like we were going that fast because like the cars were so close to each other. It looked like we were just cruising on the highway. But obviously, like if you look at the tachometer or the speed, you're like, oh, dang. But
like well over 2, just under 3.
No, not quite under 3, but it was well in the 2s. And this is kilometers for
2 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it's
just wanted to see
not that a lot.
Just crawling.
And yeah, it was both stock at the time.
Because I know he did quite a bit of it, but then he also lowered his. Because I was actually, now is your lowered as well?
Mine is lowered, but I mean that doesn't change anything really. His was on springs, I believe, and mine was on coils. So we're both lowered. I don't think it makes any sort of difference on like a highway run. I mean, private roads.
Highway run in Mexico.
Enclosed,
in Tijuana.
So yeah, it was really close. Like the thing is though, his car obviously shifts gears automatically. It was just pressing a button.
So you were just,
and I was working for it, man.
You were just throwing,
like slamming through those things to like keep up with him, because if I would have missed the beat or like lost a gear, like he would have just pulled. Like
just flew right by you.
Yeah, but I was lucky at the time, and it was like it just went smooth for me. And so we were neck and neck. And then we redid it when I did my headers. I put headers on it, and at that point, I just had headers, and he had stock everything, and that made a big difference. I pulled 2 cars on him, I believe.
Wow.
I think it was like almost 2 cars, if I'm not mistaken.
And then he bought headers.
He got headers too.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was like,
he regrets selling that car. I know he does.
I think he regrets it. Yeah, he always talks about it.
Yeah, he'll never admit it. He'll never admit to make a mistake. He'll never admit to making a mistake.
He keeps telling me not to sell mine. I think he's like worried that I'll feel the same as him.
Did I tell you we were gonna buy a Project M3? Me and him from a customer. I was working at BMW at the time.
You did.
Yeah, there's a video on. I have to find the video. I'll try and post it as well. It is actually pretty funny, but like I was opening it up on the back straight on Shirley behind the BMW store, and as I was going uphill, I'm just like, there's Christmas
lights,
like this light is off, this light is off. I want to say the check engine light was on as well. I could be wrong, but the speedometer wasn't working. It was at 0. So you don't know how fast you're going.
Yeah.
And the car was rusted through. But the nice thing about this is its entire life, it had one owner, and it was serviced every single time at a BMW. Oh, my light went out? BMW.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go to Canadian Tire and buy the same thing. BMW. So service records for the whole thing. But it was really, really rusted. And it was just, yeah. And I was also too cheap. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you $2,000 for an M3. They're like, no. But the guy ended up selling it for like $6,000 or $7,000, which I'm like, yeah, for a rusted, ratted M3.
I'm surprised it's so like rusty because like,
well, they drove it through the winter and they never did anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like BMWs are good for like 10 years for rust, and then the moment you're out of that warranty for 10 or 12 years,
for sure,
rust on the quarter panels for sure.
That's Canada for you though.
Yeah.
The salt sucks.
Yeah.
Like I thought about like man, how nice is it for the people that live down south in the States? Like their cars, sure, they deal with like faded paint.
Yeah, they deal with sun damage.
Damage. But dude,
but
like,
we don't.
The rust sucks, man.
Yeah, rust is worse than sun damage.
Like, come on, just throw a wrap on it if you want. But I'm just saying, like if it's, if you don't want to spend $4,000 or how much it is to like repaint it or whatever. But here, what do you do if it rusts? Is like things don't hold together anymore. No, but if it's like already you going to buy a used car. Yeah,
but you know what? There's the idiot like me who I have a Subaru outside and I didn't rust proof it. And that's just me being Serbian, I guess.
It's not too late. You can still do it.
Yeah. I actually looked at the underbody of it. It's actually pretty good, and they actually started rust proofing a few of the parts. Like from they like underspray a few of the parts from factory, not the whole car though. They still want to leave that to like some dealers if they want to make money off it or something.
For sure, they sell you that like whatever
they try
electronic
thing.
I
don't believe. No, yeah, Well, the corrosion module.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that say it works. A lot of people that say it don't. I don't know because I haven't tried it. So
I don't know what to think about that. Like, I can see, I guess, I don't know enough. I don't even know if it's like chemistry or physics for this to.
Well, did you know about the fuel shark? Did you hear about the fuel shark? So it's literally, and they actually, somebody went online and actually tested it just to kind of like see what programming it had. So it's this little blue, how do I describe this for those who are listening? It's like a little blue light bulb almost that plugs into your AC adapter. And all this does is it lights up. Like there's literally, that's literally it. It'll light up, and
what's it supposed to do?
It's said to save you fuel. It's just a little light, like an LED light that lights up inside when you plug it into power, and that's it. That's all it does. But people sold the idea that's saying, hey, this will save you gas if you buy it.
I don't see how that could possibly do anything.
So that's what I'm saying.
If you know cars, like how
that little
they
module,
work.
For all you know, it could also just be the whole like, well, plug it into the battery and it'll just do the work on its own. And you won't feel, you won't see, you won't hear it. You just know it's working.
But I don't see how that.
But some people, like, they swear by it, right? I have customers that'll say, like, yeah, every single car of mine has the ECC module. You know, I love it. None of my cars ever rust. But then I had other customers who were like, yeah, it does rust. But, I mean, there's also stipulations where, you know, sometimes that doesn't really work, where it's like, hey, you don't properly take care of your car.
Yeah.
Right?
It's kind of hard to say that if it works or it doesn't, because some cars don't, like, even if you take two of the same models, same year, same everything, same day, you drive them, you're not going to have two exact scenarios.
No.
Right?
It's hard to replicate. Yeah. I know what you mean.
So what are you going to do? Like, oh yeah, this worked and this didn't. Like,
and some cars are built on a Monday or Friday, whatever that terminology is.
On a Friday.
Whatever.
Or a Monday. It's like Monday's like pissed. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Monday morning. But yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about before? I forgot.
Porsches.
We haven't touched on the Porsche. Did we?
Yeah, the GT3.
We did. What's your go-to? Is that what you would choose if you had
if I had any Porsche? Any?
Let's keep the hypercars out of the picture, because like hypercars are ridiculous.
I would. Actually, it's the only hypercar I would ever buy would probably be a P1 if I had that kind of money.
Interesting.
I mean, my poster car is an F40 or a Carrera GT. Those are my like childhood dream cars. To this day, if I have the chance still. But my dream car, you know, growing up, like, you know what? I could probably get this one day. A clean example was an S2, and that I did get. But for Porsche, I'd probably get a 911. Just a 911 turbo, black, like everyone with the Fuchs wheels.
So
that, or obviously if the 997 4.0.
4.0.
Yeah.
Recently I went for a spin in my friend's 911 GTS. New.
They're fun. Oh, the 992. The new.
Yeah. And
what do you think?
I loved it.
Really?
I loved it. I mean, I didn't drive it, but it was
stick or I don't know if they come. I don't know the new.
I think
ones.
It was PDK,
like the USB shifter type of thing. Where
USB. It was a PDK.
Okay. That transmission is amazing. I will say that.
So before that car, he had just a Carrera S.
Which year?
It was a 2016, I think.
So 991. Yeah.
Yeah, and he let me drive that one.
That was probably an amazing car.
It was a PDK model too.
No, never mind.
And
I'm not shitting on a PDK. I like stick. Every car I've ever owned was stick.
But that car blew me. That transmission blew me away. Like I was
it
like,
is. If you've never experienced it,
crap.
and when you do, it is.
Dude, you can't believe how fast that thing like shifts. Like it doesn't even.
There's no hesitation.
There's no hesitation.
If anything,
whatsoever.
it propels you forward as you shift.
Yeah, that's what like surprised me. I was like, man, there's no hiccup. It's just like pull.
But now that you've driven that, would you get a stick or would you get the PDK? Really?
Tough question.
You're torn. Interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know, man.
They are reliable transmissions from what I know.
I was always a manual diehard for life.
You can also adjust this if you ever want to.
Yeah, good point. My neck hurts a bit.
That's fine.
Like leaning forward.
My new chair is coming in soon. Don't worry.
No, it's like because I'm leaning forward, but I should just adjust. I'm still pro manual for sure for like most cars. I mean, like if I'm gonna get a luxury car, I don't want to drive manual, right? I
still do.
So I really want a M5.
Like the new one or the F10?
F10.
Like, yeah.
Like the new one is just too much money. I can't. But there's a few F10s that come in manual. And this is where the question came up, right? Like I was like, what would I prefer? I was questioning myself, right? It was just like
on that car, that's a tough one because she's a big girl. So on a bigger car, manual is different, right? You might want to consider on automatic as we're on a smaller car.
So this is what I'm saying. Like the M5, even though it's a big girl, it moves. That thing shocked me. The first time I drove one, I was like, I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, size of this thing is like, how does it move like that? I don't get it. Like it defies physics in my mind.
Yeah, stock. But until you modify it,
if you modify it, it's just nuts. Like, but anyways, it doesn't feel like it's that big.
No,
when you're driving it 100%. Would I, even though the manual is super rare, would I want one in manual? I'm not sure. That's why I'm like questioning the manual, right? So would it be the smart choice financially to take the manual? Probably, because it's going to keep its value because they're so rare, right?
Yeah.
I mean, buying that car is not a good financial move to begin with.
But no, just preference-wise.
Yeah. But to keep that financial part in mind, it's probably best to get the manual. And probably just as enjoyable, but even the transmission and the DC...
Yeah, DCT,
yeah, is really good.
Now, going back to the Porsche, though, the GTS or the Carrera S.
It's hard because, like, I want to say 100% I would take the manual, right? But that transmission's so good in automatic, that the PDK, that I'm like, man, you're losing a lot by going manual. You know, now, again, like, what would I be doing with that car?
That's exactly the argument. Everyone's saying, but you're so much faster if you get the automatic.
Correct.
Or the dual clutch or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's more engaging. It's not as engaging. That's my whole point to everybody that always complains and tells me, oh, you should get an automatic. It's so much easier, this and that. But, comparing,
I think the amount of times you're going to go to the track in that car, unless you're like filthy rich and that car is your track car, which not many people do that. If it was a track car, I would just go PDK.
But manual it's still fun.
If it's just a track car and you're like trying to beat times,
of course,
like that's your goal to get better and better.
If it's not a street legal car, because let's be honest, if you have a track car, you're not keeping any car you get stock.
Well, no, for sure.
You're going to be modifying it, and then suspension, and then tires, and then this, and then that, and then you won't be able to drive it on the street. So yes, I agree. PDK or dual clutch, auto, whatever. But
that won't be your only Porsche in that case, probably.
No, that wouldn't be my only
If you have
Porsche.
that option, right? Like to have a Porsche track car, you probably would have other ones.
No, but it's kind of like the argument could be made. It's like the same. Like, would you rather, like for the M5 thing, the size wise, it's kind of like saying I want to get a Lotus in auto.
Oh no, I couldn't do that.
Right, and that's exactly it, right? So the whole size thing does matter when you're looking at. Funny, yeah. But no, like the smaller cars, they're so much more engaging, so much more fun when you're just throwing them around the shift.
Yeah.
Right? As where the bigger cars, you want to relax. But then if you want to open it up, by all means.
I agree. The M5, and this is the reason I kind of want this car, is it's a luxurious car to begin with, but that moves. When you want it to move, it'll move, you know? So lately, I don't know if I'm just getting older, but I've enjoyed the idea of more comfort cars. I never thought I would say this. But because to me, it was like always like, man, I just want a car.
We're becoming our fathers.
Yeah, I don't care about my back hurting after like a 2-hour drive, but I'll tell you a story. So my M3 is not comfortable to like take long trips. One time I drove it to Pennsylvania from here. It's an 8-hour drive. Dude, by the time I crossed the border, I needed a pillow under, you know. Both Joe and I were like, okay, let's take some blankets or like...
Let's ship the car back and rent the car.
No, that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, it was not comfortable. Like the seats get hard after a while. And even... Was it last year? Last year I went to that BMW event, the M Fest.
Yeah, I've never went. I actually wanted to go when I was younger, but
it was surprisingly good.
I heard
they had this event where you could buy tickets for VIP, which VIP was like $250. You get a dinner, you get 2 events. So the ones that I chose were for the more expensive one, which was included in the $250, was the choice between like drifting around a skid pad, an M4, or driving an M2 on the track.
That's what Stefan did. Yeah, Stefan told me about it.
So I went with Stefan. I was with Stefan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And we did the M2 and we both drove on the track at the same time. It was fun. That was fun. And I'll get back to that story in a bit. But, and then like the other part was like, do you want an M5 ride on the big track at DDT or drive, I think it was the Z4 and like 2 other models, like...
No.
Yeah, didn't care. But it was a cross, like autocross thing. And I was like,
right.
I don't want to go for a drive. I want to drive myself. And that was the biggest mistake. I should have taken the M5 ride. Because I drove the Z4 and I didn't even care about the other 2 cars. It's like, okay, I did my Z4 on the track. I didn't really like the Z4 to begin.
Too long of a nose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, autocross was horrible. I couldn't see anything. Like, I couldn't see where the pylons are. It was like the nose was so long. I think I took out like 3 cones. I couldn't see where it was. Anyways.
Was it a regular... Wait, was it the new Z4?
The new one. So the motor was nice. Like, it had some pickup.
The M40i one?
Yeah, I think
the B58?
So. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I took the M5 ride because ride along. That would have been something else. And they were saying that on the long straightaway, it would go up to like 280. That's nuts.
What track was this?
The Mosport, the big track.
Oh yeah. But then wait, but once you hit 280, there's a nice hairpin.
Yeah, like but it was a professional race car driver.
Yeah,
that was like driving.
But it's like blind hill, hairpin, and then that's where a lot of people can really, really, really mess up. So,
but it's
scary.
They didn't have any accidents from like the BMW drivers. They had some fools that. So what happened was
the ones that want to show off how good they can drive.
Yeah. So what happened? The event had a few other things. If you had a BMW M car, they allowed you to take yours on the track, a few laps, on the small track, not the big track.
The development track, the DDT.
Yeah.
I love that track.
And they also had I think it was where everyone just goes for like a tour of the big track, like a parade type thing. And that was every car. Like, it didn't matter. As long as it was a BMW, you could go on the parade. And that's where people crashed. So what happened was they went and they would stop 2 cars at a time and they would do like a drag race on the long straight. I didn't do that because I was doing my laps at that time. I was kind of annoyed. I'm like, dang it. I wanted to do both, right? Because I was there, but I was doing my laps. And by the time I finished my laps, the parade was done. So I was like, whatever. But someone crashed from the drag race.
What was it?
I think it was like an M3 or something. Yeah, but it wasn't the same day that I was there. They didn't crash that day. It was the next day. I think we went on a Saturday, and the Sunday is when someone crashed. Anyways, doesn't matter. But I have two things to mention, like the M2 race, the driving, and my M3 on the track.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went that time, my M3 was on like stanced wheels, like big wheels in the back, poking out.
But you were never one of those guys where it's like this?
No.
Like with aggressive camber, but it was just like nice, subtle. You're more function over design.
Yeah, but my car, if you looked at my car that time, it was like it didn't have crazy camber. It was like barely any, to be honest. It was maybe slightly more camber than factory, if that. Maybe it was like factory setup.
Yeah, function over design.
But I put big wheels in the back that didn't really... Actually, they were 11-inch wide in the back. But the problem is the offset was so... Like, I wish it was less aggressive offset. Because that way I would have, like, had the wheels in a bit more. Anyways, I changed them since then. Because when I took it on the track, I was literally... They only let 4 cars on the track, plus the driver that's leading the pack. No, one of their drivers in the M2s.
The big track? Or the little one?
The little one.
Yeah, the DDT.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cars that I went with, there was like an M4. There was an E46 like mine. But the guy had stuff done to it. It was like, you can tell that he was tracking regularly.
What color was it?
It was a Y1.
I know. I think I know who that is. It was a white one with... did he have a number on the door?
I don't know. He had a Nürburgring track sticker on the back, on the trunk.
On the trunk?
On the trunk.
That might be one of the pre-owned sales guys at BMW Toronto, Scott Shadbolt.
I don't know. I believe he had like Quebec plates.
I don't know.
If it was that guy, I don't know. I have a video of it at home because I had my dash cam filming it.
Okay.
So I can get more detail, or I can show it to you at some point. I know which one you're talking about. It's not that guy.
No? Okay.
Wait, it's not this guy.
No. But yeah, continue.
Anyway, so I noticed that these guys were set up to go, like the M4 I'm not going to compete with. My car is going to rub everywhere if I'm going aggressive in a turn. So I kind of just told them, like, you guys, yeah, I know this guy. I bought my suspension from this guy, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
this is the guy I thought of. No. Because when you said, it's track ready, it's this and that, I'm like, this might be the guy.
No, it's not him.
But you know who it is, so
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I was like, can I just stay the last one in the pack of 4? Because I didn't want to slow anyone down. I would have hated to be like...
But meanwhile, you're catching up to everyone.
No. Let me tell you, my car was not set up for the track at all. Like... Okay, if you know me, I'm a little bit on the cheap side. I don't buy expensive tires or anything. So I'm there on like some... I shouldn't even mention this and say it. Some like no-name tires.
Third-party, Indonesian.
Whatever. Yeah, let's not get into that. So my tires were not the best. I didn't have anything set up to track. Like, I don't even know how my brakes were holding up. At that point, I was just like...
Right.
And like I said, my wheels... were too big for what I had. It was not set up for the track at all. Like I was rubbing in every big turn. I was like rubbing like crazy, So I couldn't even go 100% if you want my tires, even if my tires allowed. So I told them, you guys go ahead and I'm gonna try to stick around. And I did all right. I think I did all right. But at some points I was like concerned about the rubbing because it was like, these tires are getting hot. I got a bit of stretch on there.
Yeah.
I don't want to pop a bead and just like, I'm like 2 hours away from home.
And then you're taking the expensive way home.
Yeah. It won't be cheap.
That would have been bad.
So I just enjoyed it. But that was the moment I was like changing the wheel setup.
But you know what? I find that when you track your car for the first time, you'll know exactly what you need to do to it to make it better. Make it drive better. Like because my S2's fully stock, still debating on whether I should change it up or not. But when I took it on the track, I'm like, ooh, I need sway bars. Ooh, I need tires. Because I bought it from...
You took your SUK on the track?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I took it to Cayuga.
Nice.
Yeah. So I took it to Cayuga. There's a lot of I mean, it was open lapping, so you could probably imagine how many idiots there were.
Yeah.
But there was, like you can tell on the corners she needed new tires, because I bought it from one of the guys at Honda head office, corporate guy. Mm-hmm. I think the future production manager of Honda Canada. And first question I asked him was like, "Are we gonna get a Honda in the near future? Honda S2000?" He's like, "No, it's a high production company for a low production car. It doesn't make sense for R&D, money, blah blah blah. Doesn't matter." But he put on like some Eagle, I don't even know what they are, just tires I haven't heard of, and I'm just like, I might as well cook them, because it's my first year owning it. I'll try it on the track. And when I drove it on the track, that's the first thing I noticed, is like not the sway of the car, it's just these tires need to go.
Yeah, tires are a huge thing.
Well, I'm used to PSSs, right? Like, you remember my 1 Series I had, that's the only thing I've done was the PSSs. I mean, other than the taillights. And as you know, I raced another full bolt-on 1 Series, and the only thing he didn't do was tires.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
And how many races did I beat him with? Like, out of 12 races, I think like 9 or 10, I beat him. And that's the thing, like, tires are the most important modification you can do. So sure. Don't cheap on that. Cheap out on everything else, but not that.
The thing is, I didn't go to that event thinking I'm just gonna get some like
sick
heavy
lap times.
Yeah, like I didn't even know if I was like, I didn't know what the event was gonna be like. It was the first time. Like, now that if I go again,
right,
I'll know what to expect. I already changed my wheels since then. I put like a more
what are you rocking
track?
Right now?
Huh?
What wheels?
I put some fast wheels that are flow formed. I think they're like they're like, it's a very affordable track wheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ideal. It's not a forged wheel, but it's a, I don't know much about them, but I've read good things about them.
But they're not the BBS ones that you had?
No.
You got rid of those?
Those were gone. Those are the ones that I like. They're not good for the track. They're just like, it was bad.
Were those 2-piece?
No. Those were not like,
they were
legit. They're not legit. But they did all right, and I bought them and sold them for actually more than I bought them for. So,
story of your life.
Yeah, and I've had them on my car for a long time.
Yeah,
right. So, whatever, it worked out for me.
But I want to go to Unfest. I've been to the GT3 Cup Cars race, where Caitlin and I snuck into the Porsche lounge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she's wearing a BMW hat. It was like BMW Motorsports, BMW logo. It's like blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, take off your hat. She's like, no, I want to keep it. And then we somehow snuck in. We somehow got passes. We sat down at the table with like guys that work at head office of Tesla. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Good meal too. But
actually, even these guys had a setup for a dinner, and it was really good food. I was impressed. I mean, it was $250, but for the whole event, everything we did, I thought it was worth it.
Yeah,
I thought it was worth
it. So
it's
$250 each?
Yeah. So it's per person. You get a VIP pass. So you get like a couple of drinks. If you get like 2 tickets for drinks. Yeah. But if you drink, they cut your thing off so you can't drive.
Oh, so you can't drive it. That's actually pretty good.
It's good. It's good.
So you guys drank after?
Yeah. At the end, when we went for dinner, we just had a drink, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But even throughout the day, they had snacks available for people. You can go there, get a juice or like water or whatever.
That's actually pretty good, because now that I think of it, like anytime you go to, for example, like you go to Cayuga or any other racing event, a hot dog is going to be $12.
Exactly.
Right? And you're thinking, okay,
and that's like trash, right?
And it's just garbage food, and then you'll eat it, and you're like, oh, I don't want to really have another one, but that didn't satisfy me. I'm going to buy another one, and then you got to buy another one for your significant other, and all of a sudden you spend $50.
Right. And you just ate hot dogs.
Right. And then you got to buy a drink.
Yeah.
But then for what? Drinks, food, and you get to race on the track?
I thought it was pretty good. You also get like a welcome pack type thing, like
yeah.
I forgot what was in the bag. It was nothing
like impressive.
A goodie bag, but it was nothing. Wow, I really needed this.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I'll come again for this stuff.
This is something you give to your son.
Yeah. He won't even care about it. But I want to say about the M2 track. So I never really liked the M2s looks wise. Right? It never did it for me. I prefer the M3. I prefer the M4 over it.
You said you drove the M2 Comp?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to know which engine this is because I'm like finicky with M2s. I like the CS, but yeah.
Competition. It had a competition package. Like again, I don't know too much about it, but it was sick. Like around the track, it just did great. The one thing I'm complaining about, and this comes back to the transmissions. It was paddle shift, like whatever DCT or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And my M3 is manual, and I can count on one hand how many times I drove paddle shift cars, you know. And if I did, it was like someone's car that I drove for like maybe 20 minutes here and there.
I think I know where you're going with this, but continue.
Dude, I had such a hard time on the track. I was getting lost in like, I didn't know the setup. At one point, I pressed the M button, and I try to keep him automatic for the most part because I was not having it with the paddle shift. I was like, I'm going to put it in the M because I want to like take the traction control. And the thing is, we didn't really have much time to set ourselves with the car before we went. So we got in, and it was like he had a little speech before we went, and then off you go. So it's like I didn't have much time to set up the car, and I don't even know how to set it up because I've never been in one before, right? So I pressed the M button while I was on the track at one point, and like shifted me in manual, and all of a sudden I'm like so lost. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? And anyways, I got it out. I didn't know how to get it out. I wasn't sure, like, do I press it again? What do I do, you know? And the thing is, when I was in automatic, I just didn't like the gears that it was like keeping me. Maybe it was supposed to be good. I just wasn't doing a good drive, like a good job driving, but it just didn't do it for me. I was like, I'm like getting off the gas, and it's like downshifting, and like
it's trying to read what you want it to do.
It wasn't doing it for me, so I was like,
it wasn't doing what I wanted it to
do. I wish it was a manual. At that point, I was like,
so I'll say this with the M cars today, because they don't have the mechanical steering anymore. I always leave the steering in comfort, because if you leave it in Sport Plus, it'll interfere and it'll kind of like snap you back a little bit.
I see.
But on the DDT track, because that's where you say you raced it, right?
Yeah.
Third gear, you can actually leave it in third gear for the entire time in corners and straights. On the front straight, you'll probably hit close to red line, if red line, and then you'll have to slow down anyway. So you can literally leave it in third gear, because I did this in my 1 Series. 135 and an M2 are not that far off, but they're close enough. And I left it in third for most of the track, and it's actually not bad. It'll keep up, and it'll do what it needs to do, and you'll set a pretty good time if you keep it in third. But you didn't know. It's like unfamiliar territory. It's like, what the hell do I do? And then they probably told you, okay, go.
Even the track for me was new, because actually I think I've been on that track many years ago. And then
they redid it.
They did actually redo it.
Yeah.
But and even when I was on the track that a long time ago, I didn't drive. I was a passenger, and it's a different story. You don't know, you don't feel it for yourself, right? And this day, it was Stefan actually drove the first time on the track in the M5. Dude, there's like 5 of us in that car. And Stefan is crazy. You know how he is, right? And I'm in the seat behind the driver in the back, right?
Oh, that's the worst. So
you don't see what's going on.
I would not be able to be in the back seat.
Dude, he goes nuts, right? So like at one point, we were so squashed in the back. There's 3 of us in the back, right? I was like nearly in the middle seat in some turns, you know? Like I don't even know where the other 2 were. I was like in the middle seat. That's how much I slid out.
So no seatbelts on?
I did, but I'm just saying. I'm like exaggerating.
Okay. Right? You're like being thrown around.
Yeah, it was like so much movement in there that like. So I didn't really get to learn the track that time. I couldn't see where he was going because it was like behind him. And then I got to drive the M2, and then I drove the M3. So when I was driving by myself, it was kind of in my own car. It was kind of nice because it was just like I kind of had an idea where I'm going. I had like I knew the car, I knew the transmission, it was manual. But the M2 was, and it was fun. So it was the professional driver, whatever, the coach or whatever you call him.
Yeah.
Then there was Stefan. There was some random guy in between me and Stefan, myself and Kat. So that was the 4 cars plus the driver. And at the same time, there was another group of 5 on the other side of it. So they kind of split the track into groups. Dude, our group was fast, man. We were like catching up with the other group. At one point, we had to stop on the track. We literally stopped. We were going like 5 kilometers per hour, just like waiting for the other group to like take like
to like. And you couldn't pass them?
No, because like we had 5 cars to pass. So the coach, I guess, I don't know what to call him.
Yeah.
The leader,
the driver trainer. Yeah.
Yeah. He tried to keep everyone in check. If like the 2 fastest guys in the front were like fast, he could keep up with them, like keep them going. But then he would lose 2 people in the back, you know. So he tried to keep them contained. So he would try to keep the group together. So when we caught up to the other group, what are we, like 5 cars are gonna pass another 5 cars, you know, like so we just kind of slowed down, let that group,
let the other guys catch up, and then you guys kept going.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it was fun. I think we slowed down twice in like the 5-6 laps that we did. I don't even remember how many laps we did, but it was fun. And the driver in the front, he had walkie-talkies in each car, so it was kind of like in the driver's seat, just put on listening, so we could listen to whatever he had to say, and he was talking to us while we were driving.
Oh, cool.
And he was like giving us props, and he's like, you guys are the fastest team or fastest group or whatever. It was like, he was good. And I'm glad that the guy in front of me, between me and Stefan, was like decent. He knew what he was doing. Because it could have been like, he doesn't know what he's doing, and then Stefan and the leader are gonna go, and then I'm stuck behind him because they don't allow us to pass between us, right? But no, he was good. If anything, I had trouble because I told you I was like fighting with that transmission. I was like trying to figure. I wish I had more experience with the manual and just kept it in manual.
Honestly, once you figure out how to use the dual clutch, you'd love it.
I think so too. I think I would have enjoyed it if I just needed more time with it. That's the only thing.
Well, they're not only fast, but they're also like, once you actually understand how they're used, it's like, but it's fun. Not as engaging, I have to say it, as manual, obviously, but I mean, it's still pretty fun. But the competition, I could probably see being a blast.
It was fun. I really liked how the car was doing its job, besides me not
you not doing your job,
me not doing my job. But like I said,
but it handles perfectly. It's pretty much like your M3, checks off all the boxes.
I think it's like the E46
with really light steering,
right? Well,
I think it's the same size as your E46, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I mean. I think that the E46 and the M2 are like technically the same.
Because the new M3 is massive. It's like the new M3 today is like the E39 M5.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Because they're, well, I mean, it's just not as scary because E39 M5s are terrifying. Yeah, sure. I mean, I was a lot younger when I tried it, but yeah.
The E39?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend that had one.
Yeah.
They sound really cool, but they're a boat.
Really?
You know? At least that's how I felt. Like, it sounds really cool.
They were a boat, but Sabine Schmidt, she really tears it up in an M5. You give her an E39, E60, F10, she will just...
She's impressive.
Yeah.
I
want the training that she has.
I don't think they're like much of a difference in speed. Like, I'm talking just straight line between E46 and an E39.
No. You know what? In the lower end, the M2 would probably take it.
No. Sorry, I'm talking about E39 and E46.
Oh, okay.
M5 and M3.
Yeah.
They're in the same era.
That's a high revving engine, though. I think both are. I'm not too sure about the M5.
The M5 is much heavier, obviously.
She's a heavy girl, yeah.
But it's got a bit more power, like 70 horse more or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's much of a difference because of the weight difference. On the track, however, the M5 won't touch the.
Yeah. Because it's meant for pretty much what the M5 that you want, right? It's meant for comfort, and then if you want to go, you can go.
However, the F10 that can like really go. The Nürburgring times are pretty good on the.
I think it has the Nürburgring lap time for fastest sedan, like in that era of car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sedans.
Didn't know.
I think
I can see it for sure.
I can't.
Man, I can only imagine like driving that thing at its full potential on the Nürburgring.
Yeah, over 300. Oh,
God, that would be scary. I'd be terrified. Even being I think even worse, being a passenger.
Well, dude, anything on the Nürburgring would be terrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyhow, I want to see. We logged over an hour, my friend.
Wow, time flew, huh?
Yeah, time flew.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This is a good session, though. Thank you for coming.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it.